Thank you so much. Very nice. Well done. Bravo. All right. So we've been doing a lot more of uh, very more simple, simpler, and simpler meditations. More and more. I'm more. Maybe this is just the phase I'm going through right now. Maybe later on I might lose the phase of simple meditation and go back to complicated. But for now, I am in the more leaning towards the simpler kinds of meditations. Okay. All right. Uh, Also, if you can, when there are little uh, comments in the chat, if you can read them to me, because the button is far from me right now. Thank you. All right, let's meditate. So communicate to your entire being that you're about to enter into inner sacred space. It's not sacred because it's something outside. It's something that you're told is sacred. It's sacred because it is meaningful at the deepest level for you, whatever that phrase mean for you. Then feel the body, the physical body responding to this call to meditate, to enter into that space where you will encounter closer and closer your fundamental being, your nature, your truth. And on this journey, we will encounter and abide, we will access ever more powerful levels of consciousness, levels of awareness. So first, feel the body's response, cooperative response to this call to enter meditation. Listen to that intelligence as it guides you to make little adjustments here, little adjustments there. It knows exactly how the body should be positioned so you can have the deepest experience in the meditation as possible. So gently let us scan the body, just making contact with the signs, and upon witnessing the signs, to bring joy, to rejoice, to whatever measure the signs are present, the signs of calm, the signs of pleasantness, the signs of clarity, the signs of luminosity, the signs of focus, signs of peace. They may not all come at once. They may not come in any particular order. One might be stronger than the other. Witnessing any of them, rejoice, welcome them. So gently bring awareness to the legs. Feel the legs' connection to the earth, either through your seat or through your legs, through your feet. Listen to that intelligence. Do you have to make any adjustments? And as you witness the early signs present in the legs themselves, welcome them, rejoice upon their arrival. Relax the legs. Bring attention to the torso. Feel the uprightness of the spine and yet relaxed. Let go. Notice any of the signs in any measure. Welcome them. Rejoice. Bring attention to the arms from the shoulders all the way to the tip of the fingers. Let the arms go. Let them be loose like loose ropes. Feel whatever measure of the signs are present in the arms. Acknowledge them, welcome them, rejoice. Notice you are already beginning to enter the meditative state. You're on the bridge crossing, about getting closer and closer to the meditative side. Just like visiting any new place, there will be places, there will be situations, and there will be events that will be familiar. It's still a new place. It just happens to have familiar elements. So when you recognize anything that's familiar, familiar with the experience outside of meditation, don't let that be um, an indication for you to think that you are not in meditation. Once you've made the intention, the journey began. Allow the head and neck to be centered. And also in the head and neck, feel the signs present there, whichever ones of the signs are present. Welcome them, rejoice. If you allow yourself, if you permit yourself, you will feel something. It might be very strongly appearing to one of your senses, or something that seems more energetic, that sort of tells you that this is a different space that you're in. This is a different space you're entering. Stay connected to it. Let it be the hand guiding you, taking you into the meditative state. Once you've established a centeredness for the head and neck where you're not holding the head and neck in place, and gently go to the mouth, teeth, tongue. Let them rest also in their natural places. Feel the signs also present there. Welcome them, rejoice. Feel the relaxed muscles of the face and forehead. Allow your eyes to rest softly. It doesn't matter how they are resting softly, whether closed, halfway opened, slightly open, staring straight ahead. Let them rest there softly. Now, throughout your body, that particular sign that you are in a different space, stay connected to it. Notice how it is enhancing. And as it enhances, the other signs also follow, not necessarily in any particular order or any particular strength. Just simply acknowledge them, be present with them, welcome them. Then bring your awareness to the breath. As you breathe in, simply know you're breathing in. As you breathe out, simply know you are breathing out. And stay connected to that sign, those signs. Really think of them as holding hands up, a hand that is walking you to the place where you want to go to. Now let's make that determination. You're at the edge, the last part of the bridge, and now you're about to fully enter into the meditative state. And it has to be a conscious commitment to enter. So gently, fully Through the nose, take a nice deep breath. And as you release through the mouth, just completely release the body, the mouth, everything. And as you let go, let go, let go, let go in the body, let go in the breath, let go in the mind. Keep letting go, 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 keep letting go. Notice that momentum, stay in that momentum, merge that momentum with that sensation of being in meditation state. Notice that sensation is enhancing with that momentum. Stay with that momentum, keep letting go, keep letting go, keep letting go. And the practical thing that you may do is to simply deliberately consciously relax the body, keep relaxing, keep letting go until you connect with something else that you can relax, connected to energy, connected to the breath. Relax that, let go, let go, let go. Stay in that momentum, leave the breath alone, and just stay in that momentum. Stay in that momentum. Notice that sensation, whether it's energetic, whether it's one of the senses enhancing. That's a good sign. Rejoice, welcome it. You're going deeper into that space, that inner sacred space. Already the awareness, the consciousness that is present is already a more subtle consciousness. It has a lot of familiar things with the awakened consciousness, a consciousness that we carry with us throughout the day, but that it is the same. To reassure yourself that it is a different consciousness, it is a subtle consciousness. Be aware of the signs, enhancing the calm, the pleasantness, the peace in the body, in the breath, in the mind. The clarity and the radiance will manifest to you as sensations that seem to appear to you without you inviting them, without you calling them. Welcome them. They are signs that you're going deeper. They are the vistas as you walk through this inner space. Stay with that feeling, that sensation that you are in that inner space. Surrender to it in a sense. And whatever is happening, it seems coming from, it seems to be coming from inside. Immediately tell yourself it's part of my meditation experience. Don't fight anything. Don't reject anything. Don't grasp onto anything. And let's stabilize now with 3 full breaths, staying connected to the sense of being in the meditative state. You can do that by staying more aware of one of the signs that seems to be that sign, or you can just stay with that sign. You don't have to worry about losing it. Just form that intention, stay with it, or that general sense. And as you do so, let's do the 3 full breath to stabilize and deepen. Through the nose, gently, fully breathe in, staying connected, staying connected. And through the mouth, just release. And let the breath come back and stay connected to the depth that the out breath took you into. No matter what the measure, stay there by continuously being aware of the subtleties of that new depth. Staying connected with the sign, again for the second time, another full breath through the nose, gently, fully breathe in. And again through the mouth, just release. Let go, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. And let the breath come back again naturally on its own, staying in the depth. And for the third and last time, through the nose, gently, fully breathe in, staying connected, keep feeling. And again, just release. And it's for everyone here. For some, it lasted a bit longer. For others, it was a bit shorter. But everyone here touched, felt that there was something that was touched. And by longer, I mean 1 millionth of a second. By shorter, I mean a trillionth of a second. There was a certainty of having touched something, something that felt meaningful, something that felt meaningful to you at the deepest level. You don't have to palpably feel it right now, but just remember it. Keep orienting yourself. Keep aligning yourself. And whenever you feel you've touched it again, try to stay there and you will lose it again. And don't become discouraged. As a matter of fact, let the very experience, no matter how fragile, no matter how short-lived it may have been, let it be a reminder to you, because there is something in it that tells you, that has a sense of authority to it, that I am meaningful. This experience is meaningful. This is something connecting you to something that you know that you can recognize from the depth of your being as being meaningful. You could even say it is that which is calling you, calling us. So stay connected, keep aligning. And if you find yourself physically swaying, that's good. And if not, that's also good, whatever you feel, just in case. And the swaying may be completely internal, where it's completely energetic. You feel yourself moving, swaying, but when you check with the physical body, it is still. So it's like it is you aligning yourself, finding that fine point where you align yourself again with that sense and try to stay with it. Intuitively, you may receive the message, relax. Whether you're in the memory, whether you've had those moments of tasting it again, remember, no matter how fleeting, you should rejoice. It is pointing to something that you know, that you felt deep within. There is meaning. And you've had a glimpse, a fleeting taste. That's why you keep continuing. That's why you carry on. So as you dwell either in the memory or in the fleeting experience, whatever will make this experience more resolute, whether it's an event, a person or persons, some encounter, something coming from within, something coming from without, whatever it may be that will help us, point, guide us, and protect us along the way. Have a deep sense of respect, trust, and gratitude. And keep finding of drop in that fleeting moment. Rejoice. Keep aligning, drop. Okay, get ready to arise from the meditation. Be aware of where you are. Rejoice that you are indeed in a meditative state and notice the signs. Rejoice. Feel a sense of readiness, ready in heart and mind to take as much as you can, to participate as much as you can, and let it be meaningful for you in a way that is palpable and practical. Noticing the signs, rejoicing, knowing that you're in meditation. Now we can come out. Make the intention to come out. With that intention, take a nice deep breath in through the nose, gently, fully, and out the mouth. And as you breathe out gently, fully, let yourself reconnect with your immediate surroundings, reconnect with your sense of touch, reconnect with your sense of hearing, reconnect with your sense of touch, with your eyes. All right. That was a very simple meditation. Uh, and I mentioned it before, especially I find within the Himalayan meditation traditions. In the beginning, the meditations are extremely elaborate. And I think they're there for the purpose of to create excitement so you don't get bored too easily. Because if they introduce what they consider to be the more advanced meditations, which are very, very simple, very, very simple, the more advanced it becomes, the more simple the meditation becomes. If they introduce that in the very beginning, the mind being what it is accustomed to doing, would find that very boring, very easy, and then that's it. We wouldn't be hearing about such a thing as a tradition from the Himalayas because it would have died out a long time ago because people have been so bored. They would have left it from boredom, out of boredom. Uh, Now, it's very nice that the uh, the name of the topic for today is boredom. Uh, I think it's the skillful means of Emmett, who phrased it as boredom. But as we'll discover as we continue with tonight's talk, it's one of the realizations that we need, and it is connected not only to what you might call the spiritual path, but whatever you can consider to be meaningful in your life. Right? It's a very important step to being able to stay the course, being able to continue, be able to see the path to the end. It may have. I'll give you the name that it comes that it is popularly known as, maybe somewhat towards the middle, because I don't want to scare you by saying you, oh, this is what you're supposed to be developed, and they say, wait a minute, well, no, no, not that one. I don't want that, because we have already made up our minds as to what that is supposed to mean, and it's because we don't fully understand what it means, and we associate it with something that we think it means. That's why we find ourselves constantly encountering what we may experience as boredom, boredom with the path, boredom with whatever it is that is we are seeking, that is has some meaning to us for us. At first, there is this energy, there is this fervor to do something, and then somehow along the way we peter out, and then we lose interest. I mean, basically, we become bored. And it's the same thing with meditation also. And that is one of the skillful reasons why there are so many different ways of meditating. It's because the mind easily gets bored. And why is it that the mind gets bored? And we don't have to go into an encyclopedia. We don't have to ask someone what is um, what is the definition for boredom. Just go into your own experience. What is boredom? That's what we're referring to. We don't care necessarily about the scholastic definition where it's just an abstract idea, but what is your lived experience? What is your embodied experience of what you experience as boredom? Yeah. What is happening in your body? What is happening with you energetically? What is it that's going on that makes you label it, oh, this is boredom taking place right here, right now, in my mind, in my body, or in the interests in what's going on? So that's the thing, that's the definition that is most relevant for us. Okay. So let's just remember, maybe this is boring for you. So if this is boring for you, what is the embodied experience that is going on right here, right now? An opportunity, great opportunity for you to look at it, to know it for what it is. You don't need to Google what is boredom in order for you to know it. It's an experience that we all share once in a while. Where does it come from? How does it arise? Where does it come from? How does it arise? We will come to know that if you just sit with it. Sit with it. Let it tell us what it is. And in that very thing, what I just said, let it tell us what it is one of the reasons we encounter boredom with something, that we don't engage it to ask it what it is. We keep distracting ourselves from it. And it's this distraction ourselves from it with uh, the deception that we are engaging something. So we are deceiving ourselves that we are engaging something, but in actuality, we are distracted. And because of this deception, we experience boredom. One of the reasons that we experience boredom. So you could say it is dividing of energy, dividing of attention. That's one of the ways that we experience it. And it's a kind of exhaustion because we are using too much energy to do something that is really simple. Mentioning energy, that tells you, in a way, what may be called some of the causes for this experience called boredom, especially the one that is felt in the physical body, the one that is felt. And not when I say physical, physical, I don't mean necessarily in the biological physical body, but I mean that is felt in a way that feels very very concrete. It could be something that you feel in the actual physical body. It could also be a very heavy sense that you sense in the mind. Okay, that's what I'm referring to. It's a very concrete, um, uh, embodied, felt sense of experience. That is connected to a very fundamental, a very rooted. Uh, um, I don't know if I should call it an energy, but it's really an anti-energy. It's almost like an anti-energy that, because of something even more fundamental, more rooted, that this sort of experience sort of emerges, and it sort of covers all of our experiences. As I go deeper into it, it will become clearer and clearer. Okay, so there is this felt, embodied feeling that accompanies boredom, and it feels almost we would like to say it feels energetic, or we would say we feel it in the energetic body, but it's not energy in the sense of giving us energy, but rather a sapping of energy. Okay, and I'm saying this condition accompanies almost every experience that we have, because of something even more fundamental, something even more rooted in our nature. That is why we experience it. Okay. Now let's begin with the simple experience of boredom. What is actually taking place when we are experiencing boredom? At first, there is. Let's begin with. At first, there was a meaningful interest. You were really interested in something, and somewhere along the way, something happened, or something didn't happen, and then the feeling that we call boredom begins to set in. And what is happening at that moment when that feeling that we call boredom is taking place? The mind is looking for something. The mind no longer wants to engage whatever it is that it was engaging in beginning. There is something in the relationship between us and whatever it is that we were engaged with. Something happened in that dynamic, in that relationship. And what I'm calling the thing, it could be an idea, it could be the path, it could be, well, it could be a relationship that we have with someone. Okay, a relationship with a book, relationship with a movie or something, or going to a concert. Okay, what has happened? Let's really look at it. What is happening in that moment when we are experiencing this? You could say, uh, for some reason, because of whatever it is, interest is lost. We are no longer interested. And we may try to force ourselves to be interested, but interest, the sense of being interested is not natural. And if we force it, the boredom uh, might even, the sense of the boredom might even enhance, might even, it might become even heavier, the sense of it, if we try to force it. Okay? Because there's a sense of being exhausted, almost as if your attention, if it was some sort of energy, uh, it, it's a sense it's going into a void. It's not getting a feedback. It's not being reciprocated in a sense. And because of that, there's a sense of energy being lost, being thrown into a vacuum. And that's what I'm referring to as lacking interest, no longer interested in the thing, no longer interested in the path, no longer interested in the relationship, no longer interested in the movie. Okay, something lost. And what is it that was lost? Perhaps what was lost, what was holding our interest, was really a hope. What was holding our interest was really a promise. And we entered into that relationship with that promise being fulfilled. And it seems like this promise will no longer be fulfilled as we seem to be engaged, as we seem to go deeper into the relationship. That's what it seems like. And that's why boredom seems to be justified. It seems to be justified. When we are bored with something, we are justified and we do whatever we want because we are justified, because it is something to be dealt with. We do whatever we can to deal with it. Either we look for something that promises us something that we can go towards, or we try to renegotiate the relationship so we can see if it either can give us what it promised or if it can promise us something else. That's exactly what is happening in a meditation. And this promise is not necessarily something that we are holding, and not necessarily, it is mostly, for the most part, not something that we are consciously holding in our mind, like, oh, where is it, man? Where's my money, man? Where's my money, man? Where's my money, man? It's not necessarily something that we are consciously holding and asking constantly. Unfortunately for us, it is unconscious. We're not aware of it, but it is active. It is very powerful. It is very capable of determining experience. Okay. And it is that whatever that observer part of us that is witnessing, hey, this promise is not being fulfilled. Let's get out of here. Let's take our energy somewhere else. And this division, holding your energy, holding your attention, and then energy being uh, uh, attracted, pulled by away from something else, but by something else. Okay. So you could say that is sort of like the felt, one of the ways that you can that you can describe the felt experience of being bored, whether it's with the object that you're meditating on, or whether it is a relationship with whatever it is, whether it is your relationship with what you call the path. Okay. I remember what I said last time, especially when it comes to, I ask you to reconsider our relationship with what are referred to as the kleshas, the afflictive emotions. Okay. To reconsider that everything that arises within us, any emotion, whether we call it afflictive, whether it's called positive or negative, know that evolution, whatever you want, in whatever ways you want to accept that term, whether it's biological, whether it's spiritual, it comes out as a necessity because of evolution. So you could say every emotion has a role to play, has a necessary role to play, and we simply have to align ourselves with whatever the message that particular emotion is telling us. Okay, and allow wisdom to carry on, to be the executioner of whatever action that needs to be executed. Okay. And last time I mentioned anger as being useful along that line. Okay. When we listen to its message and we allow wisdom to be the executioner of what its wishes are, what its messages may be. So boredom also fit into that category. So boredom is also telling us something. What is it that boredom is telling us? I'm gonna and you can use that example with anything. Okay, I'm gonna use the example with the path. What happens when you're feeling bored with the path? And one immediate way of expressing boredom, which doesn't really go into any depth, is that you could say, "Oh, it's the same thing over and over again without it doesn't change." That's one of the excuses that we give, so we can immediately uh, steer away from diving into what is actually going on. Why is this feeling of lack of interest is present? So if we understand boredom is telling us, giving us a message, is telling us something that we should listen to, instead of, yes, you can witness and not push away that tendency of wanting to look for something else, so we may no longer be bored. Just acknowledge that that is also present, but don't identify with it, don't go into that direction, but rather just stay with the boredom and have a conversation. Allow yourself to have a relationship with the feeling of boredom itself and ask it, what is going on? Why this boredom? And as far as the path is concerned, one of the things that boredom is telling you could be something extremely fundamental that we really have to listen to. And it's, in a sense, the boredom is arising out of this deep wisdom within us that's telling us, hey, remember you wanted to go in that direction? You've been going in this direction for a long time. Okay? And the reason that you're experiencing boredom, you think you're experiencing boredom with this, but you're actually experiencing, this is what you're experiencing boredom with. So in a sense, you thought you were on the path, but you somehow, we got deviated from the path, and we are engaging in something that we misidentifying as the path. And of course, naturally, we get bored with it, and we think it's the path that we are bored with. The practical application of this is, you would not be sidetracked if you knew exactly what the direction was. So boredom is telling you, hey, you don't really know where you're going. Stop, reevaluate where you think you're going. Reevaluate what you think is meaningful. Reevaluate what you think is the path itself. Perhaps what you thought was the path is not the path at all. That's what the boredom is telling you. It's not the path is bored, it's our wrong understanding of what the path is that we are engaging with, thinking it's the path. That's what is boring. And the boredom is telling us to reorient yourself. And indeed, if you're in a concert and your friend told you, oh my God, you're going to love this, and then you're sitting there and it's absolutely boring for you, what is it that you're encountering? You're encountering the truth of what is for you really something exciting, and what you are meeting with, what you're relating with at that very moment. So for you, it is not yours. Maybe that's why you're bored. Okay, that's not for you. You don't have to force yourself to be interested. But let's say, for example, the music, the concert has certain nuances that you're just not familiar with, and you're just not picking up. You're not really present with what is going on. Okay. And that is a fundamental, uh, a, a fun. I keep saying using the word fundamental. Sorry for that. Okay. Uh, uh, a fundamental part of why another fundamental part why we experience boredom is lack of mindfulness, lack of being present, lack of really being with what is going on. And if we were very present with what is going on, we will realize that the path is not necessarily some straight thing. You just sit on it and then close your eyes and then boom, you're at the goal. You're in nirvana. You're in whatever. It is something that its nature is part of the nature of reality. It is a dance. It moves. And when we maintain mindfulness, we are simply locking in step with the dance, so that instead of blindly going in one direction and then the path, did its movement and we no longer with it, when we are and what we are facing with is not what we were with before. So the thing is, if we maintain mindfulness, maintain a sense of presence with the path, we may it will grow, it will change. Our understanding of it should grow. Our understanding of it should deepen. It can't stay one thing. So when it seemed to be staying one thing, it means we were not dancing with it. And no wonder we became bored with it, because it left us a long time ago, or we strayed away from it from a very long time ago. Okay. And this, so I'm gonna now speak in a way that now you can sort of like, okay, take notes. Okay. All right. So we sort of talked about the path, the sense of boredom in a way, what you could say more in the experiential way, in the intuitive way of experiencing it. Okay. And I mentioned that there is something, there's this, the boredom, the feeling of boredom is this thing, this physiological, psychological thing that weighs on us. Okay, that's how it feels like, and the reason that it is there, just like I mentioned, I made the analogy of think of the path as a dance, and so that means you can't remain static. You can't remain just frozen. You have to move with it. Okay, so that feeling of boredom is like it makes you want to stay. It makes you want to not move. Okay? And this will be with us for a very long time, because at the very root of it, why it is present in our lives is because uh, this is going to sound a bit contradictory. I warn you, it's going to sound contradictory. Okay, but try to go deeper than the words. So the feeling of boredom is wisdom speaking, right? And all this is taking place because of the fundamental truth. Sorry about the word fundamental. If somebody can come up with another word, I'll gladly take it. Uh, that not only reality itself is a dance constantly moving, but also it is freedom. It is freedom itself. You can move, you can dance if you want, or you can just stay still. But either one of them, they have their different experiences. You cannot expect the same experience while you're dancing and moving, and as the same experience as you're standing still, not moving, not being in flux, being uh, being static, okay, being rigid. Because if they give the same experience, they would not be called two different things, moving and being static and rigid. So you could say the fundamental, the very essence of the universe or reality is such that it is pure freedom itself, where identity, consciousness, experience can flow in any direction, direction towards movement or directions towards static. And each of these, whichever one you're doing, will have their different experiences. Otherwise, there would be no need to call them different things. So you have this fundamental uh, field of freedom, and there's this wisdom, deep wisdom that understands this. That from the depth of your being, you know this truth. From the depth of your being, we know this truth. And once in a while, it comes up as pure wisdom. It guides us. We have an intuition, you could say, and we somehow, without knowing how, we come to find ourselves in perfect alignment. So here's the saying that sounds contradictory. So the boredom and enthusiasm are both expressions of wisdom. Okay. When you're bored with something, it's wisdom telling you, hey, you're not in alignment. When you're experiencing joy and enthusiasm, that's wisdom telling you, hey, you're in alignment. Okay. That's what I mean by they are both expressions of wisdom. Okay. And try to stay with that. And this very freedom, this very nature of freedom also allows for understanding and also misunderstanding. It allows for it. That is perfect freedom. And again, understanding has its experience. That's why it's called understanding. And misunderstanding has its experience. Okay. So this wisdom is always seeking expression, always seeking to stay in alignment with truth. And when we stay away from it, it communicates to us in some form or another. In this case, through the experience of boredom. So when you are experiencing boredom, the first thing I said was to stop, be aware that the mind wants to go here and there, and then reevaluate where exactly what you think reevaluate what you thought, the relationship of what you thought you were engaging with. What is it that you thought you were engaging with? Reevaluate it. What is it? In this case, the path. And be ready to let go of assumptions. Be ready to let go of even what you thought were convictions. Allow yourself in that moment to be fluid. Okay? Don't be attached to anything. What you thought, what you were convinced was the path, which is not, but was really a misunderstanding that was we were guiding ourselves, we were relating ourselves with as being the path. and we start to experience boredom with that. So the boredom is telling us, hey, do you really know what the path is? Maybe you were distracted, and without knowing that you were not aware that you were distracted from the path. So realign yourself. Okay. This condition is supported or is made available for us to experience because of the freedom, because of the freedom of of things, because of the nature of freedom. This condition of boredom is held in place at the root by misunderstanding. Misunderstanding what? Misunderstanding our nature, misunderstanding who we are, misunderstanding what is going on right here, right now. And the misunderstanding I'm referring to, I'm not talking about something that you need an encyclopedia or you need Google to explain to you. It's about exactly what is your immediate experience, having a misunderstanding of it, and different levels of misunderstanding. Okay, you can go from, yeah, there's light here, as opposed to uh, there is um, I'm there's a shadow casting on me or something. So that would be a misunderstanding, something like that. Some things that are, it has to be very evident, okay, very evident, and that is the path actually get to what is deeper, to deal with what is evident, what is what is the truth of what is presented to you, the truth of your truth of your experience, to be uh, to be open to that. Okay, so misunderstanding, and it's not a conscious misunderstanding, it is an unconscious misunderstanding. It is this unconscious misunderstanding that is the root, and this misunderstanding is in a sense a misalignment with the nature of reality. It's a misalignment with the fact that the reality is dancing, ever flowing, constantly. And if your mind thinks, ah, constantly moving and dancing, when am I going to rest? That's a misunderstanding of what it is to be in constant motion, in constant movement. We've had a misunderstanding that that is something that is unwanted. And we simply have to tell ourselves, this particular constant dancing, this particular constant movement, have I really experienced it to draw a conclusion as to what it is? How can I draw a conclusion as to what it is? Oh, I don't want this when I've not really had an experience of it. Okay. So that is this misunderstanding. Drawing conclusions that is not based on any direct experience, but rather formulating ideas, concepts that are completely not helping us being present. Now, to so re-evaluate your relationship, that is, be present with whatever is going on. If it is painful, don't let the sense of it being painful be an abstract idea. If it is painful, go and know for sure, yes, this is painful because I am seeing it as painful. Not because you are conceptualizing it as being painful. Okay. Sometimes we do that. I do that in order to thinking that I'm going to be escaping from the pain. I conceptualize the pain and I go into my concept of the pain rather than the pain itself. And I give myself the delusion that I'm dealing with the pain, but I'm just dealing with my concept of the pain. So if if there's no sense of the body responding, if there's no sense of your emotion being present, if no sense of of some sort of energetic, some sort of the entire being participating in it, maybe there's a we are distracting ourselves from the experience that's taking place. Okay. And by allowing ourselves to really directly experience, oh, this is what's going on. Oh, yes, there's no doubt about it. This is painful. There's no doubt about it. This is suffering. I don't have to read a book to tell me that this is suffering. My experience right now is telling me this is suffering. And how do I know it's suffering? It is right here, right now. I'm experiencing it. And these are the signs. This is how it is in my body. This is how it is energetic. This is how my breath is behaving. This is how my mind is behaving. All these things are pointing to, yes, this experience is suffering. And by allowing ourselves to directly know what is going on at the present moment as it is going on, we are allowing wisdom to, we're allowing our wisdom to shine, allowing wisdom to come forth. And when our wisdom starts to come forth, then we start to see, ah, I see what is connected to this. I see what is connected to this. I can see the thread of experiences that connects me to this experience right here. I can see how it is done, and I can see also, because I see how it is done, I can see how it is I can be undone. When we know in truth, because we are present, that such an experience is not an experience that we want to continue to have, then we begin to have wisdom. And it is that wisdom that will create within us an aspiration for something other. Or you could say, this experience of misalignment. Yes, it's an experience. It's not being forced upon me. I would prefer to have a different experience, an experience of being aligned. And your aspiration to be aligned, that's the beginning of the path. To be aligned with the path, to be aligned with the true nature of reality, to be in step with the dance that is taking place. Sorry, the universe is the dance floor. If you don't want to dance, sorry, you have no choice but to dance. Okay. If you don't like dancing with the universe, you have no idea what dancing is. Okay. You think you do. So, and we start to know, ah, this, uh, this behavior, this set of behavior leads to these experiences, which are which which end up with being misaligned, which end up with pain. And you, because you know that's what they are, it's not because someone told you. The natural action, the natural spontaneous response will be to no longer engage them. You want this sense of no longer engaging something not to come from because you were told you have to engage, you have to disengage, but rather from knowing, by being in it, by observing it, knowing this is something that creates pain. This is something that creates uh, a yelling, a shouting message from my depth saying, hey, you're misaligned. Okay? And by knowing this, now when we start to look for what direction to go to, we keep that sense of mindfulness, that sense of presence with us. In the same way we recognize this is pain, this is the source of pain. In that same clear, in that same clarity, we recognize this is the path. This is the result of the path. With that same level of clarity, we will know. And the path and its result will be naturally attractive for us. We will naturally be inclined to go in that direction. When we find ourselves thinking that we were in that direction and we are becoming bored with what we are being presented with, is because we were deviated again. We, we were back to what is we thought was the path, but actually wasn't. And the boredom that we're experiencing is the wisdom telling us, A, we lost, we lost contact, we lost connection, and we have to reorient ourselves. And the way we reorient ourselves is to look at what is going on. It is the bravest thing to do. It is the most painful thing to do, and we have to do it. If we really want to, okay, I want to go there, and I want to stay going there in that direction where I end up dancing and enjoying the dance, to be in alignment with my nature, and in whatever way that will be expressed. Don't worry about it. Okay, don't imagine a heaven that you're gonna get bored with, and think that the path you're on is towards that imagined heaven, which doesn't exist. And no wonder you get bored with it. It's not any heaven that exists. It is simply some imaginary thing that we came up with while not really dealing with reality. So bottom, first of all, is wisdom talking to you. Immediately recognize that. Perhaps what you are bored with is not the path, but what appeared to have been the path. And we were somehow uh, uh, we were misled to think that it was the path. And now wisdom is telling us, hey, you've been with this fake thing for too long. Now get back on the real path. Okay. Don't think that because you're bored with what seems to be the path, somehow there's something wrong with you. Wisdom is speaking to you. Okay. Wisdom is speaking to you. So listen to it. And if you don't, and if you are someone who is deeply into the path, for you, the path has meaning. The boredom will be painful. You can't just say, oh, the path is boring. Let me get some excitement and distract yourself from the path. And in the same way, we were misled to think that what we are engaging with was the path. Now we begin to engage ourselves with something else we think is freedom from boredom, when it is that same misunderstanding guiding us again, deceiving us again. the and mentioned, and it's not bad news. It's actually something, an indicator. Okay, because of this core misunderstanding guiding our lives in one way or another, sometimes major, sometimes in some microscopic way. This heaviness that we experience, this condition of heaviness, mentally, physically, energetically, psychologically, basically a lack of enthusiasm, a lack of energy, lack of joy. Understand that it's because uh, it is going to be with us for a while. It is a condition that only actual experience will help us get rid of. Okay. And if you know sincerely that you are serious, you're seriously on the path, and your sense of boredom is very heavy, that means there's something within you really wanting, thirsty for something meaningful. So it's not a reason for you to put yourself down at all. Okay. The that call for something meaningful is loud. And because of its the loudness of that voice, that experience is heavier. It's more painful. And the only way to get away from that pain is the only way to get from that from that heaviness of that experience is to really, really sincerely evaluate and in truth, to know in truth what is the path for you. Okay. And be ready to let go of everything, even that you thought was the path. Okay. Remember, the very first thing you put on when you start the path is a pair of shoes of joy. So the path from beginning to end should be joyful. Not that you don't experience pain and suffering along the way, but the the space where all these are welcome, all these things are experienced, is within a space of joy. Yes, you can witness yourself experiencing great pain, and yet the awareness that is that has made space for it is an awareness of joy. And some of you know what I'm talking about. You've tasted it, and keep reminding yourself of those experiences whenever doubt comes in and try to overcome you. Remember those experiences that are authoritative, that are undeniable. Okay. And when you start to now see this is the path, this is the path, this is it, and it becomes and it's because of actual mindfulness, actual being present. These are the habits that I see are not leading onto the path. I see them naturally. You will let them go. You will not have interest in them anymore. They will not be able to drag you to anywhere. They will not have power over you anymore. And because of that, you experience a certain level of clarity, and that degree of clarity will it's you could say it is a removing, it's a dispelling to some degree of this heaviness. That means your understanding has gotten stronger and your misunderstanding has gotten weaker. And because of that, that heaviness is now lighter. That darkness is now lighter. That sense of being in darkness, in fog, will begin to lift because of that clarity. Yes, these I see, these are the things that by their habit of associating, relating with them, they've kept me away from what is truly meaningful for me. And now you develop conviction. And conviction is absolutely necessary. It's a necessary key. Conviction. And the only way to arrive at conviction is to be present with whatever is. If this is suffering, I'm convinced it is suffering. I don't need the book to tell me anymore. If this is pleasant, I know it is pleasant because I'm present with it, and I don't need the book to tell me it is pleasant. Okay. And I'm open. I'm not grasping at it as being suffering. I'm not grasping at it as being pleasant. I'm open. Maybe it's not. Maybe it is. I'm allowing myself to also stay to connect with that sense, my nature of freedom, and build based on that conviction. Because you see, then aspiration naturally comes. Then you start to find yourself freeing yourself from this heaviness, and you start to tap into the energy of joy. And that energy will be able to carry you, propel you into direct experiences, which will strengthen the conviction, which will brighten the space furthermore, and you will tap into more energy until eventually one day you will be completely free of this tendencies born simply of habit to relate, to deceive ourselves, thinking that we are benefiting ourselves when we are not. We are benefiting others when we are not. Now we see that's not what those habit leads to. And naturally, we develop, use the word, renunciation. Okay. It should be natural. It should be a natural outcome by looking, by seeing, not brainwashing yourself. Samsara is awful. It says so. There are 6 reasons why. Reason one, reason two. That's not how you develop renunciation. You develop renunciation by seeing reality. And there should be in renunciation a recognition, this is not for me. This is for me because I see it. And you will naturally find yourself going in that direction. And no matter what happens, you will be dancing. Okay, I think I'll end with that word. Uh, I don't know if I covered everything. I don't know if there was something that you felt, I wish he didn't talk about that, he didn't touch upon that. So the floor is open for questions. You're going to say, what were you talking about? I don't know if you could raise your hand or unmute yourself, however it goes. What's that question? There's a
It
question.
says, could you please mention the 5 steps on the path? Thank you.
The what? The 5 steps? Oh, sorry, I didn't quite catch. Yeah.
yeah. Could you please mention the 5 steps on the path?
Oh, 5 steps of the path. Ah, all right. You know how I deal with things here. I don't like to deal with things to make it that sound just scholastic, so you can write on a piece of paper, and then that's where it lives on a piece of paper. Uh, the 5 paths. First step of the path. Be real. Look at your life. Be real with it. What is really pleasant? What is really unpleasant for you? Don't worry about if it's pleasant for someone else, pleasant for someone, if it's pleasant for someone else, or if it's unpleasant for someone else. What is pleasant for you? What is unpleasant for you? That's the first thing. Be real. Know your life in as it is actually taking place. And as a result of that, your mind will no longer be distracted. Your mind will no longer be under the sway of being pulled here, pulled there, basically under the power of being distracted. Your mind will be start to collect itself. And as your mind collects itself, because you are allowing yourself to be present with whatever is going on, then you start to see reality for what it is in different levels. You start with what you might call the obvious, the gross, the relative, and then that itself has different levels. You start to know that it's not exactly I can experience it one way. I'm someone that's experienced a different way, and they're both valid, and you're okay with that. That's one level of experiencing it, of knowing. And when your mind is collected, because your mind is collected now, your mind is the perfect has uh, cleaned itself of its biases, it's able to now see reality for what it is at a much deeper level. And with your mind collected, no longer under the sway of being distracted, you direct it towards your experience as it is taking place. And because of that, you see the fundamental, the what you might call the root of your experience, the root of your reality. You see what is that principle that underlies every experience. And because of that, habits which were very much unconscious habits, they, they a lot of them lose their power over you. So even unconsciously, you don't have uh, uh, you don't have disturbing habits anymore. The power of disturbing habits, the habits that keeps you away, basically from being dwelling in truth, dwelling in your who you are, being able to stay there. And after you've had that experience, sorry, the first experience is not enough. Our habit of being driven, motivated by misunderstanding is deep. So we have to keep re-experiencing that directly over and over and over again. That's the next path. Then eventually one day there'll be a smidget of unconscious misunderstanding, and we will have the power of mind, the power of wisdom, the power of knowing to be able to completely eradicate it. And we arrive at a place where you could say we are no longer under the sway of the habit that makes us misidentify, misunderstand. And this can be, you can have you can have your own, you can let your imagination take you to whatever that could mean if it helps you to stay with it. But know that what your imagination is presenting you is just a prop. It's not the real thing. And if I were to tell you what that is like, I will be lying. And even if I did know, uh, if I were to say it, we would be hearing it with our misunderstanding. But just know that it begins with take your life for what it is, really be honest with your life. And that itself begins the process where your mind begins to collect itself into a powerful laser, into a powerful tool that where you can see reality for what it is. You can see your truth for what it is. And habituate yourself with that over and over again. And eventually completely do away with any residue of any tendencies to be misled by misunderstanding. All right, that is, I hope, a way of expressing the five paths in a way that's something you can say, oh, wow, okay, that sounds more like something I can do rather than something I can write a dissertation about. Okay. All right, thank you for that question. Anything else about boredom, not boredom? Well, I hope I wasn't too abstract. I try to avoid that, but sometimes I find myself completely swimming in that realm and thinking I'm not.
I just want to say it was not abstract. That was amazing and very confirming of a lot of things. So I don't have any questions.
Oh, thank you so much. All right. Okay. Before this becomes boredom, an object for boredom to make its presence. So I guess we'll end a bit early. Okay. All right. So let's do that meditation, the meditation.
Did Carolyn have a question? She unmuted herself.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to say that I think our silence or the group's silence is not indicating we're bored.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, I'll echo that.
Okay. All right. Silent shout out to all of you who we had it. We had some may have had some very difficult experiences recently, and I hope that you are coming out of it. And I wish you all the strength that will help you come out of it. Okay. All right. So this is that meditation that we all becoming familiar with. I'm not bored with it yet. It's a sense of community. Okay. Right. If you can, bring just the memory of having been in meditation. Just, you know, stroll to that memory. You're not trying to force anything. You just lull yourself into that memory. Oh, yeah, my body felt that way. My breath behaved this way. I felt that in my mind, without necessarily having to force the experience to come. And notice just by that recalling of it, you start to really start to taste it in the body, in the breath, in the mind, without grasping at the experience as they are taking place in the body, the breath, and the mind. Just continue to just be with that recalling, recalling, until that sense of re-experiencing it is just there. You don't have to do anything. It's just there. You feel it in the body. You feel it in the breath. You feel it in the mind. And as you are feeling it, we're going to take a deep breath to sort of commit ourselves to fully enter it. So through the nose, gently, fully breathe in, staying connected, staying connected. And through the mouth, just let yourself drop into it. Drop, let go, let go, let go. Feel it enhancing in the body, feel it enhancing in the breath, feel it enhancing in the mind. Keep letting go, keep letting go. Leave the breath alone. Keep letting go. Stay in that momentum. Stay with that momentum. And as you are in that momentum, and there's that sense of being in a different space, an inner space, stay connected to it by being aware of it. And as you stay connected to it, now think of us here gathered and have sense an image. And I'm saying sense an image palpably through the sense of touch, even sense an image of us sitting in a circle. And as we sit in the circle, Again, go back to that sense of us. Keep going back to it, us. Have the perspective of someone outside saying them, and have the perspective of us here saying us. So as there's this composite entity that can be called them, this composite entity that can be called us. Feel it. Keep going to it. And as we feel it, as we keep going to it now, see emerging in the very center of our circle a very bright presence. And continue. When you see that presence, relax. Let yourself feel that presence. Let yourself feel that composite us taking a form in our center. And there's a line connecting us. A thread of light coming from our hearts, going to the very center of that bright presence. It empowers us individually, and individually we empower it as us. And just keep thinking that, us. And understand your micro us, your legs. If they're in trouble, your hands, which are not your legs, will go help them. And they don't see it as hand helping legs, but us. Self helping self. And begin to have that sense of the appearance of our individuality in the circle. The same way the hand has a concern for what's happening to the foot has a concern for what's happening to the head. We have that same level of intimate concern for the different elements that makes us. Every once in a while, you feel something that you could call compassion. You feel something that you could call love. Let yourself feel it. And as you feel that concern, that bright central presence begins to grow in brightness, grow in the space that it occupies. And as it grows in the space that it occupies, going brighter and larger and wider, whatever was in that space become part of it without its individuality being desecrated. And yet it's the us. And it continues to grow until we are completely immersed into it. And our sense of individuality is not lost. And yet we are us. In the same sense of concern the hand has for the foot, we have for each other. And it continues to grow. And not only us, but also everything in the space is absorbed into that light, and it grows. The more it absorbs, the more space it takes, the brighter it becomes, the more that sense of concern becomes more intimate. Continues to grow. The entire house, the entire apartment, the entire neighborhood, everything, the grass, the plants, the sky continues. The entire state, the entire continent, the entire earth, the mountains, the rivers, the oceans, the skies, the clouds, the birds, everything. We have that sense of us. It's an immediate concern the hand has for the foot, we have for the river, for the ocean, for the mountains, because we only see us. And if your capacity allows in a palpable way, let that light continue until you could say the entire solar system, the entire Milky Way galaxy, the entire supercluster, the entire universe. But if that is too abstract for you, don't go there. Stay with what is can be real, and just stay with that. The us. And the immediate, compassionate, loving response. We are in the ready. To help the ocean is not a sacrifice of self, it is helping self. To help your neighbor is not a sacrificing of self, it is helping self. And if you can, just briefly, if there's anyone, you could say you have some difficulties with, if it's not too much, if it's not too disturbing, bring them into this us. And as soon as you feel the sense of intimate concern that you have, try to direct it towards that person or those people or those area. And when it gets difficult, just to get it out of your mind, go back to the us. Keeping that sense of us. Now see that bright presence now shrinking in size from wherever the edge of the atmosphere of the earth or the edge of the universe, shrinking back. And as it shrinks back, it leaves a glow of its light until it comes again to be right in the center of us. And there is a glow that we have, like almost like a dust of that light on us, in us. And that sense of us, that intimacy of us is still with us. And as we feel it, that composite us that was in the center now becomes burst into rays of light that completely dissolves into each one of us. So now each one becomes in our own body, all of us. So the lesson here, taking care of yourself, is part of taking care of all of us. Okay, let your mind just go into the space of the meditation itself. witnessing the signs, rejoicing, welcoming them, and go into the sense of whatever gifts you may have received from tonight and dedicate it. And may you be able to take whatever gift you received tonight into your life, and may your life be brightened and made brighten those around you. Okay, make the intention to arise from the meditation. With that intention, take a nice deep breath through the nose, breathe in, feel it, hear it. Through the mouth, breathe out, feel it, hear it. And joyfully, deliberately, consciously reconnect with your immediate surroundings, reconnect to your sense of touch. Feel the temperature again, feel the clothing on you again. Reconnect with your sense of hearing and reconnect with your sense of sight, taking the light, seeing shadows, seeing colors, seeing bright faces, seeing just names. All right. Thank you very much, everyone.